The European Union's been very bad to us. They don't take our cars, like Japan in that sense. They don't take our agricultural product. They don't take anything practically. And yet they send millions of cars in a year, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, BMWs. They're sending millions and millions of cars into the U.S., but we don't have a car that's been sold to the European Union or other places, but let's go for the European Union. And it's not going to be that way. It's got to be fair, reciprocal. It's got to be fair. It's not fair.
All right, it's time to weave out the lies so we can get to the facts. Today, we have some absolutely massive breaking news. As of just a couple days ago, the European Union has now completely caved to President Trump's tariffs. Take a look.
First and foremost, at immense costs for U.S. consumers and businesses. But at the same time, they have a massive impact on the global economy. Especially hard hit are the developing countries. And this is a major turning point for the United States. Nonetheless, we stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table.
Yeah, you heard that correctly. 0 for 0 tariffs on industrial goods, which, by the way, covers pretty much everything. Now, of course, this comes after the news that over 50 countries around the globe have literally started begging President Trump to make deals about his tariffs. As things stand right now, it's only been 5 days since President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs went into effect, but already countries across the globe are absolutely scrambling to get Trump's tariffs removed. And of course, this is also weird because for weeks now, we've been getting told by the progressive media that President Trump's tariffs are completely incompetent and that they'll never work. Turns out they were wrong. In fact, as one recent report reads, 50 nations begging to negotiate President Trump's tariffs too late. Around 50 countries are now scrambling to cut deals before President Trump's brutal tariffs hit, and the answer is a hard no. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick made it crystal clear. The 10% baseline tariffs on nearly 90 nations are happening. No delays, no exceptions. Calls are pouring in from desperate trade partners, but Trump's team isn't budging. The message, pay up or get out. And so, needless to say, pretty much every country around the world is absolutely freaking out right now as they try to figure out a way to deal with President Trump's tariffs. In fact, in just the last 48 hours alone from me making this video, Taiwan, India, Israel, Vietnam, and Cambodia have all agreed to entirely drop all of their tariffs on the United States in an effort to get Trump to remove his tariffs on them. Between all of those countries that I just listed, Trump has just saved American manufacturers over $120 billion a year in export costs. To say the least, Trump's tariffs are absolutely working. And as we just said a few moments ago, now we can add the European Union to that list as well. So, at this point, the success of Trump's tariffs are just completely undeniable. In just 5 days, President Trump has used his tariffs to negotiate deals with almost 100 countries around the globe, pretty much rebuilding the global economy in the image of America first. But what do you say we talk about Trump's tariffs that aren't meant to be negotiating tools? Let's take a second here to talk about Trump's tariffs that are actually designed to stay in effect long term in order to protect American manufacturing. China, for example.
And if we look at data from President Trump's first term, and there's a big study that just came out from a group of economists, mostly at MIT, that showed that a 20% tariff on China led to a 0.7% tax or price level increase over 4 years. I think that's pretty good. If we can take in 20% in tariffs and it's a 0.7% increase. And Kristen, the little publicized story this week, everyone wants to look at the stock market going down. You know what else went down? Oil prices went down almost 15% in 2 days, which impacts working Americans much more than the stock market does. Interest rates hit their low for the year.
There you have it. Just like Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said, in 2018, President Trump placed a 20% tariff on China, and American consumers only ended up paying an extra 0.7% more. But you know what else happened? As a consequence of those very same 2018 tariffs on China, President Trump was able to bring around 135,000 manufacturing jobs back to the United States of America. So, as it would turn out, all of these radical, far-left progressive globalists that have been screaming about how tariffs are just a tax on the consumer have pretty much just been lying, and now we have the proof. And then, of course, on top of all of that, as Treasury Secretary Bessent said, right now, energy prices are down, interest rates are down, and American job creation is absolutely through the roof. And why? Because manufacturers are finally investing in America again because of President Trump's tariffs. In fact, President Trump actually spoke about all of this a couple days ago. Take a look.
Solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk? And as you know, because of the tariffs, we have $7 trillion already committed to be invested in the United States, building auto plants, building chip companies, and all sorts of companies are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before. Biden had nothing coming in. This was a dead country with Biden. He didn't know what he was doing.
Boom. As a consequence of President Trump's tariffs, over $7 trillion worth of manufacturing investments have now come pouring back into the country. And so, is that something that ever happened during the Biden presidency or the Obama presidency? Yeah, I didn't think so. In fact, for the last several decades, manufacturing has done nothing but leave this country completely screwing over middle-income, blue-collar American workers. But not only that, when we completely rely on Chinese manufacturing to produce absolutely everything for us, we are putting ourselves at a very serious national security risk, as we all just recently saw in 2021 at the start of the global pandemic. So here's the reality. Not only is reshoring manufacturing and bringing it back to the United States of America the economically intelligent thing to do, as we can all see already, but also it's the smart thing to do from a national security standpoint as well. But, like we've said, President Trump really has two different types of tariffs. Tariffs that are meant to be negotiating tools that we can use to leverage other countries into dropping their unfair tariffs on us. Then also, there are tariffs that are meant to be permanent in order to incentivize bringing certain manufacturing sectors back to the United States. I mean, I have to say, so far, President Trump has been able to strategically accomplish both of those goals. Now, of course, this entire situation isn't over yet, and the negotiations are still ongoing, but as things stand right now, President Trump is actually doing it. And to be more specific, what I mean is that President Trump is actually making America great again. He's actually putting America first.
Don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you found it informative. Hell, even share it with your family and friends. And let's talk about it in the comments here on Facts Only.